because everything they do down there is based upon the heart chakra. It's based upon getting you into a vulnerable, loving, tender state and ripping that from you in any way that you've seen in the movies, in horrors, in your nightmares, probably beyond anything you can imagine in your nightmares. Imagine, again, they have mind tech using this technology. They can basically pull, it all started years ago, with the electrodes on the brain, where you could sense the electromagnetic energy, ultra low frequencies coming out of the brain, the low hertz. Detect then where the heat is activating, where the electricity is, and then you can see the emotions, the thought, not yet the thoughts, but you can see the emotions and what kind of state, whether the basics of it, whether they're angry or sad or distracted, you know. And that got more and more refined until they can pull the exact emotions. And I think before it went from there, they turned it around and said, okay, well, let's put electrodes, not electrodes, but electromagnets, and create that field into the brain and see if we can recreate emotions, recreate everything that we could detect out of that. So they got that, and they can actually, you know, using a helmet, they can make you go into a God state. They can make you feel fear. They pulse it into the amygdala, and it creates a maximal fear effect. And whatever hallucinations that person will then begin taking on in whatever hell realm they send this person into. They say they're doing it so that a switch happens, a key and unlocking and enlightening, which is when the brain decides that the amygdala no longer has relevant information, and it turns all the fears, switches it, and turns it into enlightenment, into power. That doesn't work for everybody. Maybe over time, but there are people that are not, they're not doing that. They're just getting tortured to fucking hell and being put and left in hell. And when they come back here, it doesn't matter, because if their soul, if their mind, if their heart is down there, they're not here. They're stuck in time, in memory, and whoever you're interacting with is not that person. They're not possessed, but they're just lost in their own mind. This is what they're doing to people. Apparently it's a part of a larger plan that these people will, in a way, either help humanity, the targeted, tortured individuals, and through that, the torturers basically claim they're helping humanity by waking these people up. I'm not sure how that works. But, so once they figure out they could put electromagnets in a helmet and get you into any state you could imagine, it extended all the way from there to the point where they use scalar wave grids, basically making the brain act as I think it's a sine wave, I'm not sure, but they turn the air in your mind into a carrier wave. I don't think that's how it is. The scalar grid becomes the carrier wave, and then if your brain vibrates at the same rate as the grid, they basically have an external internal network, and they can beam a frequency into the scalar grid, which will essentially, like a fractal or like a vortice, it will spread to every area of that grid. So then if they have the frequency of fear and you're within this grid, you know, within your house, wherever two beams are setting up and getting an interference pattern, and they beam in that fear technology from the last time you experienced fear, and because they can pull the same thing, then you'll feel that, and literally you can tell it feels like I know how to define it now, and I can actually reverse it, and that's why I'm coming out now. Once you know, they specifically target the areas of the brain that if we learn how to operate the brain and the energy system fully, it's like, I don't know, it's like a game at that point. You can see exactly what they're doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, and you can reverse the process or stabilize yourself and your own energies and get back to consistency and awareness and not this emotional disturbance and mental disturbance of our lives. The point is that they're doing this so we think about it, so we are distracted with what they're doing versus what we're really put here for, which apparently is beyond anything anyone can imagine. We are, in a way, reality generators. We create what we experience, and it happens in a delay in this realm, physicality, but it's still what happens. Nobody decides what happens for you. We all decide. That's the whole point. I'm also coming out about this because when I was having these experiences, which lasted from the age of 10 all the way to about 14, then again at 18, then at 20, and then at 23. And it was 16 years. But at those times, I met them out in public in physical reality, talking, walking, shaking hands, exchanging knowledge, asking them what the fuck this was really all about, because I was fighting it. But the future can go two ways, where we have this unified system, with or without the stuff we don't want in it, but it's just that humans are unified. Or we can go further into disarray to the point of collapse, to the point of that unification comes with the survivors of that fucking terrible collapse. So this is the time where we're going to decide, and all the people coming out and talking about this now are going to help us decide. Help fill in the blanks for the people that don't know what's going on, whether it's real, what all these hints are, what all these conspiracies are, what all these theories are. In motion, in energy, in a type of complex interference pattern grid that creates this delay of time and physicality, and it's like a computer system. But the essence of that is love and thought and awareness, truth. They know this at the highest levels. They basically tortured us to get us to bring God into this reality. When we're at the depths of the breaking point of pain, suffering, and torture, we call upon God, and they see the glory, and they feel like they're doing the right thing, or whatever. And again, that's one way of looking at it. The other way, and it's the binary consciousness, as if you put it into material form, and it can do anything, look like anything, but it has no soul, it has no humanity, it has no heart. So it wouldn't understand our point of view at that point, and it would see us as a kind of something that has to be worked out in order for its power to be fully realized. In the same sense, it's the same thing for us. That negative energy on this planet and in us is something to work out before our power can be fully realized. I don't know how it works out like that. It's kind of paradoxical, but all is possible. We can allow it to take us over, or we can allow ourselves to experience the truth of God and essentially fight the drain on our heart chakra. So brings me to another point, which is that the another way is explained, and a lot of what they do is eroticism and like just the most perverted stuff on the planet. And they try to do it. They built it for thousands of years to the point where it's beyond anything we can imagine. And it's because these things, nanotech, drains the heart. So what they do through the torture, they attack the mind and they attack the heart. They can attack the body, but it doesn't really. Old style that worked, for instance, Soviet disappearances and Holocaust type situations all throughout history, from the Asian side to the Russians and Germans to shit's going on in America, to South and Africa and all that. And they do play political God, apartheid, and all these movements and motions. It's essentially all this central archonic authority tricking people. That's most of what our society is. Most of our movements, most of our releases, most of our released technology since the 30s or 40s, it's all been bullshit. It's all been faked and fucking slowly released. I'll talk about the heart chakra to sacral chakra tie now, but the high-end technology is another great portion of this, because I'll just say this. The original internet they have was a screen, just like this, a screen, but you'd look into it and shake hands with the person that was on the other side, and then close it and they're gone. Is a fucking box that you could teleport a wormhole through and talk to people and hand files over and fucking food over if you needed. Shit is crazy. But that's the original technology. They gave us this, breaking down the energy into binary pulse radio wave electronic form, which breaks down into bits and bytes and, spectrums. And it's the most degraded form of what the whole version of it could be. If you see how the whole thing works, it's basically consciousness. They took conscious energy and then you turn that into a computer and that becomes the internet. Well, then everything you see and feel becomes perceived on the other side. It's like a much more intelligent version. If you take down that one aspect of consciousness, the visible light, and break it down into an electrical component, and you put that in a circuit, put that in a wire, you can split it back up into ones and zeros, get it to come back as a visible light, and you have the screen. But it's still beautiful. It's a painting. You can see everything that's there. But imagine if I could shake your hand right now and it was a live screen. That's the true technology. And it doesn't use the ones and zeros of just a binary spectrum of electricity. It uses whatever this energy is that they haven't released yet, which is, we know it as consciousness. They found it as an energy source, as an actual scientific, manipulable energy that they can manipulate. And they made these devices with it. Everything is based off of it. Everything is based off of the consciousness device. It's scalar wave tech. So it's just Tesla had to do with the scalar wave tech. He figured it out. We could have had free energy. I mean, not free energy, but energy that you could have charged all your devices from some water tower over there looking thing. And of course, you read this whole story. They blew up his towers, locked him away. He died old and poor in a shack somewhere. And the business partners that helped him get caught up and shut down that obviously made lesser inventions and couldn't even grasp his intelligence. They set him up. Big scam. And he invented not only the AC current in the generator for that, which we all use today, it runs our society, but he invented the fucking scalar wave tech that could make everything infinitely more powerful. The main thing about that is they don't want to release technology until people are smart enough to handle it and not instantly realize they could do anything, and all of a sudden we have 10 world wars going on at once. And B, they don't want people to get that technology and then come after them and destroy them.